Very interesting experience. I didn't know a darn thing about politics, but I really enjoyed serving on the committee. We had a good mayor. Marvin Briggs was the first mayor of the town. And we had, the first year, we had 5 positions. But then after that, the second year, we done away with 1 position as an alderman, and just had 4 with the mayor, so we'd have an odd vote, But I served, I think, from 1960 into 1970 when I decided that a little over 10 years politics is enough, so I got out. I didn't run anymore. But I think we've done a lot of improvement to Hitchcock in doing away with the water board and taking it over, having that as a city services, and helping the fire department to get more into the fire department and police department. When we first incorporated, we only had 1 paid officer, the police department, with the police chief, and everybody else was auxiliary that worked as a police officer, because we didn't have a heck of a lot of money to spend. So we rocked along there, but then it came a time when Hitchcock was getting a little bit more thickly populated, and we was having a few accidents on Main and 519 and Highway 6.
Okay.
And
On 519 Highway 6, we're having.
so Marvin came up with the idea, we called the state and see if they'd put us a red light. And he called the state, and they said, yeah, they'd put one up, but it would run us around $11,000. And we didn't have $11,000 for a red light. So he got to thinking, and Owen Barker was the attorney representing the city. He didn't charge us a dime as far as legal work is concerned. He lived in Hitchcock. So Briggs told him one meeting night, he says, Owen, he says, I want you to prepare an ordinance. We're going to de-annex 100 foot east and west on Highway 6 and 100 foot north and south on 519. We're going to give that back to the state. And Owen Barker said, well, Marvin, what are you doing? He said, well, you'll find out later. So Owen Barker prepared the ordinance, and we de-annexed this 100 feet east and west and 100 feet north and south. So then Marvin writes a letter to the state. He says, how come y'all not paying for that red light? You want us to pay it? He said, well, that's in the incorporated area of Hitchcock, and it's the Hitchcock city's responsibility. He said, no, it isn't. He said, if you'd looked your records, up-to-date records, you'd notice that that's been de-annexed, and that belongs to the state. And the state agreed, since it was state property, they would pay for the light. So the state came in and put us a red light there, stop and go on 519 and Highway 6.
That was the first red light on Highway 6.
First red light on Highway 6 in Hitchcock. And when they got it all installed, he told Mr. Barker, he says, now I want you to prepare an ordinance. We're going to annex that area. And he says, why are you going to annex it? You just told me to de-annex it. He said, well, now we got the red light. And the state paid for it. So I thought that was pretty smart thinking on Marvin's part, that he saved the city $11,000 to get the state to put them lights in there.
Yeah.
But
Well, not bad. Do you recall who the 5 members were, on the first city
well, there was,
council?
let's see, it was John Vanallier and Pete Delisandri. They were elected on the first election. They were tied, 315, I think it was 315 votes apiece. And Bill Reitmeyer and myself. Oh, and there's one guy that I don't, he had a filling station right there with his shopping stuff.
Mr. Wallace.
Wallace.
Weldon Wallace.
Yeah, Weldon Wallace, he was one of the first commissioners. So it's myself and Pete Del Sandri, Vanalier, and Bill Reitmeyer.
Was Joe Matranga?
No.
On that first?
Yeah, Joe Matranga, yeah, because Tony was the he was the police marshal,
Mhm.
but Joe Matranga was one of the first commissioners. But on the second year, we only was elected for 1 year. And the second year, he decided to do away with one position of alderman and start calling us commissioners and have 4 commissioners and a mayor.
Wasn't that when y'all became a home rule city?
Home rule city,
And-
right.
And he calls for 4 commissioners in
Yeah.
there.
Right. And that year, it was myself, Pete Del Sandri, Wade Wallace, Weldon Wallace, and I think Bill Reitmeyer was elected. Now, there was a guy that served a year or two. He lived on Smith Avenue, or Smith Road over here. I don't remember his name. But,
His name was Alderman, wasn't it?
Oh,
yeah, Alderman, right. Alderman was one of the first commissioners.
Mhm.
Then he moved away from Hitchcock, so his position became vacant. But I think I've always wondered how come Santa Fe has never taken over the utility district in Santa Fe. But we had to take over the utility district because we needed money to operate the city the first year, and we didn't have no money because we wasn't taxing the people.
Mhm.
So we could, if we took over the utility department, then they had a little money that we could use, and they had money coming in that we could use. But our budget was less than $100,000 then, because everything was pretty well done on the auxiliary board with the utilities, not the utilities department, but the
Water District.
water district.
In 1961, when Hurricane Carla came through, I've heard stories about the police chief leaving town.
Yes, in 1961, Carla. Marvin stayed in town. I didn't, because we had 3 children, and I had an elderly dad, and we left about 2 o'clock in the morning, went up to Rosebud, Texas, stayed with some of my wife's kinfolks. But when I came back to Hitchcock, I found out that the police chief had went to Houston, and he had also had a little accident up in Houston. So one of the meetings when we came back, in a real nice tone of voice with a smile, I asked permission to speak, and the mayor gave me permission. I said, Chief, you shouldn't have gone to Houston. He said, well, a lot of people were leaving town. I said, yeah, but you was an employee of the city. You should have stayed here. He said, well, I didn't. I went to Houston. And about 2 weeks later, we had the police car fixed, because we only had one police car. We had it fixed, and about 2 or 3 weeks later, would you believe that he wrecked it again? So after he wrecked it the second time, we had another meeting, and I got permission to speak, and I told the mayor and the city commission, I was speaking to the chief. I says, now, Chief, I says, you've had 2 accidents in less than 3 months with that police car. I says, and with a smile, I said, now, Chief, if you have one more accident, I'm going to personally myself buy you a bicycle, and you're going to patrol Hitchcock on a bicycle. And the next morning, I worked at Montana at that time. The next morning, the mayor called me at Montana. He said, Jack, you got to get you another police chief. I said, what's the matter? He said, well, he quit because he doesn't like to ride a bicycle. So we hired another police chief. I was over the police and fire department, but not to spend money or final decision making. I just brought back all the information back to the 3 other commissioners and the mayor, of anything that the police department or fire department needed. And
Y'all were
we
assigned-
all voted on what to do, whether we had the money to do it or whatnot, you know.
The commissioners were assigned
To
different
each department, yeah.
duties.
Pete Sandy was assigned to the utilities department. I was the police and fire. And then we had, let's see, the utility, police and fire, and one was in the economic part of it.
Streets.
Street department was one of them too, yeah. But we hired us another chief. But I said it to him nicely, because I believe in really being nice when you talk to people if you're going to let them ride a bicycle.
Do you recall any other experiences in your 10-plus years as a city commissioner that you'd like to share?
Right offhand, I don't remember any. I might have told you some, but I don't think of any right now. But I enjoyed serving on the city commission for them 10, 11 years that I served on it. Just to better understand politics, on how to spend money and how to do things to better improve the community that you live, because I was born here and I thought that I'd probably live here for a pretty good while, which I did. And I just enjoyed being in politics, and I still like to attend meetings if they don't do so much talking and take a little bit more actions on things to do. Because I was a firm believer that less talking and more action was the way to run city government.
I know that you served many a term as mayor pro tem on the commission.
Yeah.
And I think in 1969, we changed mayors from Mayor Briggs to Mayor Williams, I believe it was.
Mayor Williams, yeah, he was a school teacher.
School teacher. I recall you telling some stories about budget times.
Yeah, he was a real good teacher, and he beat Marvin Briggs. But when it came time to prepare the budget, he didn't prepare no budget. And we was asking, how come? He said, well, I don't really know too much about a budget. So I was being mayor pro tem, I said, well, I'll help you. So we prepared the budget. And it was presented to the council and it was passed. And the next year, budget time, he asked me to prepare the budget. I said, no. I said, that's your job. You prepare the budget. That's what the mayor's main job is to prepare the budget. And he prepared the budget, but it was one heck of a budget that we didn't vote on it. We had to just take it all out, and then we all got together and worked up a budget. But the third year that he ran, I told him real nicely that it's his job to prepare the budget. And if he doesn't want to prepare the budget, we better get somebody on the city council that knows how to be a mayor and prepare the city budget. And he did. He only ran for them 2 years, and that was it. But he was a wonderful man, but he just didn't know how to handle finances, city finances for an incorporated area.
Did Mayor Reitmeyer, I think, was the next mayor?
He was the next mayor, yeah.
And you served with him?
Only 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're done.
Jack, at this time, we'll cease to record this historical information that you have given us, but I hope that we will be able to come and visit you at your home and maybe add to this video that we have taken today. I'd like to thank you
Y'all
for participating in this whole oral history session.
Well, and I hope that things that I've said, as far as my remembrance is concerned, whenever you get as young as I am, trying to think back 50 or 60 years, are still fairly true. And I've enjoyed Hitchcock, and I enjoyed watching it grow, and I appreciate the opportunity of coming up there and saying a few things that my memories about Hitchcock when it was just a little bitty town with about 200 or 300 people in it. Because we've grown some, and I'd like to see us continue growing, but I'd like to see the growth in a different type of growth than we're having today in Hitchcock.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
thank
we
you all
need-
very much.
And we need to remember our past, yeah. So that, we appreciate it a lot.